Hey, Internet. Okay, so doing another form review for folks on the disc golf form check page. I am from America. I do not know how to pronounce cool names. I'm sorry. This person's name is spelled Petr. I'm going to assume it's Peter, if that's pronounced differently. Peter is from the Czech Republic. Awesome. I absolutely love working with folks from around the globe. So thanks for submitting your clip for a review. This shot that Peter sent in is 60 to 70% power, and he said it went about 300 feet. This is a very calm, collected 300 feet. Excellent form. He says he can throw 500. On a good day, he can get about 5 shots out to 500. So 500 is the very tip of his daily achievable PR range. And that tracks with how good his form looks. So let's take a look and see what we can clean up. But first, why am I doing this? 2 reasons. One, I got started on this page. This page gave me the ammo I needed of people that wanted their form reviewed, that I could just do it. So this is where I got started. I started doing reviews here about 3 years ago, something like that. So thank you to the admins and all the folks that submit their clips for review. Thank you. And the second reason is to promote my personal coaching business, which is all run through a Patreon account and the YouTube account. But I'm doing these reviews to give back to the community. I'm also doing these reviews to promote my own personal Patreon coaching page. So all of the folks that I do reviews for are highly encouraged. If you want to keep working with me, hop on the Patreon. Everyone else, of course, hop on the Patreon. There is a tip jar function if you just want to throw a couple bucks at me every month because you appreciate what I do. That is very much appreciated. If you can afford it, hop on the Patreon. If you can't, post your videos on a comment on one of my posts on Disc Golf Form Check, and I will get you in the queue to get you a review like this. Okay, housekeeping out of the way. Let's jump into the throw. Okay, so calm, cool, collected 300 with a putter because someone's real good. Form is perfect. Don't change a thing. End of review. Just kidding. There's things we can tune up a little bit, but on the whole, this is exceptional. I do not see form this good, this functional, this evolved very often, especially not from people that are just sending me their first clip. So really nice work, Peter. Okay, now let's get nitpicky. Foot angle. This is the first thing that I think could clean up. So the things we're going to try to do a little bit better, you're already doing everything very good. We're going to try to do this a little better. We're going to try to do this a little better. We're going to try to do this a little better. This is not a big deal. It's a small deal. This is kind of a big deal. You leak a little bit of force out of your knee, and a little bit of that is because your toe is forward. So we're going to try to get, someone else suggested this already, but they suggested there. I'm going to suggest let's crank that thing back as far as we can. That's comfortable for your front side. So we want to get that front toe more closed to get the front leg more closed, to keep the front hip more closed. And then we want to change kind of the timing, kind of just the positioning of your off arm. So it gets to a great spot, and then it comes down to a great spot, but it's just a little bit behind, and Chris Taylor will disagree here. So Chris Taylor is the gentleman who coaches for a lot of the top players here in the States. Does he coach anyone out of the States? I don't know. He's probably worked with European players, but he is based in Florida, right? Chris, correct me. But he's going to say this off arm is fine, from my understanding. I'm going to say I want it to get a little bit more forward and then come back to here. So I'll just demo that for you because that's the easy one. So off arm, and the off arm change is not Like off arm is pick what flavor you want, do that flavor. And what you're doing is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing. The change that I would suggest is, I'm just going to do this in the framework of a one leg because that's what I'm used to. Your off arm is going boom and then coming through here. And what I want it to do is to go, I'll just do it. I want it to go like this. Boom. So it's getting a little bit in front. It's helping make this lighter as the rotation comes around. So what you do is you're going down, so you're adding weight to your brace, but it's there. I want that weight to go there. I want it to go into your foot. This is like a very small percentage of what happens, but I've found this to be helpful in my own throw and in getting people to firm up their brace leg, which is the goal with the foot position and the not rotating forward. More on that later. So I like the position you get to here. I like the position you get to here, but I just want to move that forward a little bit. So you're going to shoot your hand from here to at your front foot. Boom. So it's a little bit like Slingshot's double move where he has you punch through to make this rotation happen faster. It's like 10% of that. That's too much. It makes your throw too spinny, in my opinion. But it's the same idea. I'm using tension across the back to have this make this go faster. Boom. By causing rotation. I'm not really trying to drive the motion. I'm just trying to make this be able to go faster. Boom. By having this out of the way. I'm also trying to add weight to your brace foot. Here's an example. If I don't use my off arm and I throw kind of a little too hard for this framework, watch what happens. Boom, spin out. If I can throw exactly as hard or even harder and use my off arm to help weight my foot, I can go a lot harder and I don't have to spin out. So I like that. I can use this to help me brace better. That's the idea. That's it. So I'm not trying to add power with your off arm. I'm trying to make your brace more effective with your off arm. So the next thing is you plant your front foot a little bit open. The more open your feet get, the less able you are to move your hips. They get stuck because there's nowhere for them to go. This one can't go forward anymore, and this one can't go backwards anymore. When I switch my feet around, now I have range of motion. I can move this hip back, coiling into the rear hip, and then shift forward and move this hip back and coil into the front hip. That's more what we want. If I add a stagger, now I get a ton of rotation backwards and boom, a ton of rotation forward. So I have room for my rear hip to snap forward, and then I get drug into that follow through. So that's the name of the game, is we want the hips to be able to snap with speed, and we want them to do it not because we are doing it. That's not very good because I'm not using the ground. If I run this way, stop, push on the ground, and clear my hips, that's what we want. So I want to be able to get to here where you're looking at my back pockets. I drop this heel, I fire my front quad, boom. And pushing on the ground allows me to snap my hips forward. So I've moved my hips 90 degrees by pushing on the ground. You can push on the planet and get your hips to move a lot faster than you can get your hips to move. Your body already understands that because you're bracing relatively well already. But these are the problems that people fall into. They just try to twist their hips. So how do you push on the ground more effectively than what you're doing? The first key is you need to get used to that. You don't have to keep doing that all the time. I think this is just a training wheel situation where it's easier to learn it with your heel forward. What that does is when you shift the weight into the heel and shift the weight past the heel, it locks your leg. And your leg the whole time is moving in one plane. So when my leg is not moving in one plane is when I do things like this. Now my toe is pointed this way, my knee is pointed this way. Then when I come forward, my toe is pointed this way and my knee is pointed this way. When your knee is in one of those shapes, you don't want to do an explosive athletic squat motion because you'll blow up your knee. So if you get to those positions, your brain won't let you fire your front quad to extend your knee to clear your front hip. So that's what we want. And we need the leg to be linear when we do that. So that's what this heel forward position is. It allows your knee to go that way and keep your knee linear. Then as soon as you get done with that clearing, you're on your heel and your leg can rotate again. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a moment of isolation. When you look at pros, this is like 5 or 6 frames at 30 frames per second. So it's like 1/6 of a second where their leg is not rotating. They're here, they're down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames, and then they're rotating again. So we don't even see it as the leg isolating rotation, but I think that's really important. So the way we start building that is a one leg regression where we're just standing here, our toe, our knee, and the front side of our femur are all pointed the same direction. And during our wind up, those things don't turn. So you're keeping this here, you're lifting the rear hip, dropping the rear hip. That's creating that hip torque that we need, that we can float a good throw on top of. So there's a video to that. I'll link it in the description of your video here. Then the only other thing is like the leg position. And let's see what you're actually doing there. So you get the toe a little bit forward. And then there we see the knee moving a little bit. So not bad. You are not the worst example of this. And again, me and Chris Taylor kind of disagree on this, so he will tell you something different. But I've found the way that I coach it works. So your front leg, everything from the knee to the front hip is rotating. So here, that's now your knee's going to start rotating. Now it moves, now it moves, now it moves. And your hip is rotating too. So the way I would describe that is your hip clear is soft. Your front hip, because the knee is rotating, so you get to your plant foot, the knee is rotating, allowing the hip to rotate on it. And this hip getting cleared is not happening as quickly as it could because the knee is rotating. So when people my age and older do this and do it very poorly, their front leg gets downright mushy. What that looks like is you'll see someone turning around too far on their X step usually, and then they get to the brace and they go bruh, where they're actually bending their knee as they come forward. They're not pushing on the ground, they're shock absorbing on the ground, and then their throw is weak because of it. So we want to do the opposite. We want to get the heel down and then push into that leg as hard as we can, boom, and have this hip motion be snappy. So this hip is clearing that way while it's actually going up and back, boom, while this hip continues forward. So you get torque from this hip going up and this hip going down. That's it. So where I would start learning that is the one leg regression. You're turning your foot 30 degrees back, you're locking your knee, you're keeping your foot, your knee, and your hip all pointed in the same direction. Then you're just moving your belt buckle. So your leg stays pointed this way. Move the belt buckle, drop the belt buckle, and you're learning how hip snap sits on top of a strong front leg that is not rotating. Then you take that to here, a bent knee, one step, boom, same thing, and you drift into that finished position that you started in the one leg. So that's where I would start. Your throw is awesome already. Those are the things I would clean up. I would change the off arm specifically to help you learn the brace better. Once you've done that, you can do whatever you want with the off arm, doesn't matter. There are guys that throw 600 feet with off arms that look worse than yours. So that's not a big ticket item. That's just a little thing that can help you set up your brace better. Then as far as the brace goes, learn the one leg position. So you're learning how to throw behind you with your heel 45 degrees forward. Boom. And then learn that straight leg position and learn how to get into that straight leg position here, keeping a linear knee that's not rotating, and it does rotate when you get onto the heel. Okay, there you go. Ask any questions if you want. Of course, you're welcome on the Patreon, as is everyone else. All right. See you next time, Internet.